All right, here we go, folks, with hour number 2 of the country's #1 radio show and social media show about the RV lifestyle. Alan Warren here, and this is the hour of the Angry RVer, where we take your calls and folks can vent about some of the problems they're having that they shouldn't be having with their new RVs. The phone number to call is 1-855-296-7469. Again, 855-296-7469. If this is your first time to catch the Angry RVer, well, this is where we visit with folks who have plopped down a pile of money, in some cases a mountain of money, on a new RV in hopes of experiencing the RV lifestyle with a minimum of issues. Unfortunately, though, for too many of these buyers, their RV dream is not a good dream. In some cases, it kind of becomes an RV nightmare. As someone who loves RVing and loves RVers, and that's me, I am also a realist, and I know that RVs do come with some issues, some issues. Those are okay, mostly little things that somebody can fix on their own, but when an estimated 20% of new RV buyers say that they are either disappointed or very disappointed in the quality of the new RV that they have bought, well, to me, that is way, way too many people. Can you imagine, though, if 20% of everybody who bought a Chevy or a Ford or whatever, 20% said they were disappointed or very disappointed? I mean, what would happen to the company? They either have to improve their quality or they'd go out of business. Now, in all fairness, the RV industry knows about some of these issues, and they say that they're working on fixing them, but apparently the consumers are not seeing much of an improvement. So in the hour of the Angry RVer, we open up the phones, and we visit with RVers that want to share their RV horror story. Not to bash the manufacturers, but to get their attention in what we think a classy way, but a bold and honest way, in hopes that the manufacturers will truly raise the bar and improve the quality on their end. My personal real hope is that one of the big four I call them, will see that this is an opportunity to be the true industry leader and become known as the RV manufacturer that cares. And they pledge to make the best products possible for their customers, because the truth is, to simply kick the can down the road and do nothing about their quality is a recipe for disaster in terms of future sales, and nobody wants that. So if we have any of the big four listening, instead of consumers defining who your company is, don't you think it makes more sense for you to define who your company is? I think it does. All right, want to share your RV horror story? Call the Angry RVer hotline, 1-855-296-7469. Let's run on out to Colorado and bring up Mark. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
We're doing great. So it says you got a big old Class A. Tell us a little bit about it.
I bought a 2016 Thor Tuscany 44 MT, and I bought it from the illustrious Camping World.
Oh, good for you. So what's the story?
Pardon me?
What's the story?
Well, right now I'm arguing or trying to get it fixed through Thor, and it looks like it's happening, but I have lost 2 windows off my coach, and then on my last trip I was losing 2 more. So Thor had put 2 windows into it the first time, and now I'm waiting for them to do it again.
When you say lost 2 windows, explain it to me. I'm not very smart, Mark.
Well, the first time I was driving down the freeway, I-95, and my back bathroom window just decided to depart the vehicle, and it just blew off. And then later on in that trip, clear across the country, I lost my emergency window on the same side in my bedroom. So anyway, long story short, with me complaining enough to Thor, plus my 2 visits to the factory, I got those fixed. But now I'm waiting for them to do 2 more that I'm being told that the windows have been ordered, and I may see them in 7 to 10 days. Now,
the Tuscany, that's a big boy. I mean, that's one of the big dudes. You're talking several $100,000. I would think that the windows would.
It's their Class A. I would assume it's their legacy motorhome. So the list price out of it's way high, but it's still a couple $100,000 vehicle. that, it's just non-ending little things that I have had to get fixed since I purchased.
Now, is that your first RV, or have you had others?
No, I've had my parents back when I was a kid started off with about a 1965 open road. And then as I grew up, my parents had other motorhomes. And then the wife and I started off with tents, pop-up trailers, 30-foot travel trailer, 40-foot fifth wheel, and now I've got this 45-foot tag axle.
So how does your 2016 Tuscany compare quality-wise? I know it's probably more expensive than the other ones you've had, but how does it compare quality-wise with your other RVs you've owned?
I'd have to say it's, right up there with being a nice vehicle. And one thing that people probably do or maybe want to understand is when you have one of these big babies, you kind of got to take care of it because, any loose thing will go wrong with it. And then if you're not staying with it, it costs you an arm and a leg to fix. My whole instance is that I've had it since 2016, and I'm still just trying to get the warranty work done that initially should have been fixed when I first purchased it.
How long was it after you pulled out of Camping World until you first started noticing things that you didn't see during the walkthrough?
Well, that first weekend, I took it to a campground near someplace here near Denver just to give it a weekend shakedown to see what was wrong with it. So I had 3 or 4 big items that I needed to have fixed, and Camping World didn't get any of it done. They scratched it, as a matter of fact. And when you buy a vehicle, everybody's pleasant and whatnot when you go through all that crazy crap of buying one. But then once you take it and then you get the service part of it, with both my vehicles that I purchased through Camping World, it was just an absolute nightmare from the start until I got rid of my fifth wheel. And then when Camping World fell down on me, when I bought the motorhome, I just refused to ever take anything that I owned to that place.
Well, but 2 years, is your warranty still valid, or did it expire?
No, it expired, but, I've got constant gripes with what I've got going on with the coach, and Thor also has all that, so we're working through just piddly stuff that they needed to fix when I was in Wakarusa. But, once you go away and, I just don't feel comfortable about taking it to any of the big companies, Camping World. I really haven't too much experience with Lazy Days. I kind of cut that one off the knees before I had that running. But now I found a place just through the fact that I have an Aqua Hut in my motorhome that I had to have it serviced last winter and winterized. And those folks that I had taken it to just did an outstanding job for me. So when I was having the other warranty issues with the windows, Thor and this company were able to get together and, come to an agreement that they would do this work for me.
Why can they not seem to, if your windows just blew out again, is it an engineering problem? Is it something, are you going over rough roads and they're blaming it on you? Is it, I'm just wondering.
As far as me, my opinion on the windows is that they're the windows that have a little bit of a metal piece that's adhered to the window, the glass itself. So that piece pulls the window in and out, and it's just one of those like envelope type windows that lifts in and out.
Yeah.
But with that adhesive on there, I just think personally that when it sits for a great length of time, in the sun, to change the climates, that type of glue isn't made for the window, or maybe it's the wrong type. I'm not an engineer, but when I have them just pull apart that glue seam, that's just.
All right. Hey, Mark, we're going to hit a break in just a few seconds. Can you hang with us?
Sure.
All right, good deal. I got a couple more questions to ask. All right, folks, this is the hour of the Angry RVer. Got a lot of people who are calling. We got a couple more open lines. Give us a shout. 855-296-7469. This is your chance. 855-296-7469.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
All right, Alan Warren back with you on the only radio show and internet show about the RV lifestyle that includes some discussion on the dark side of RVing and the RV industry. On our guest line from Colorado is Mark, who has spent several $100,000 grand on a new Thor Tuscany motorhome a couple of years ago, and he's been having problems with it. Literally, it sounds like for 2 years. Mark, it sounds like you're kind of taking everything in stride. You don't really get too upset, which is great.
Well, I'm sure Thor would disagree with you. I mean, I tend to have a real salty disposition. But, with the windows going out with that type of defect, I was on a winter trip, and I just pulled into Key Largo. And I was getting ready that morning to go down even further south into the Keys. And I noticed the bathroom window was coming loose. So I called Thor, and this young man that answered the phone wanted to proceed to tell me that I was out of warranty. Well, needless to say, that flew like a turd in a punch bowl.
I love it.
So I, talked to Thor, paid for somebody just to seal that window shut. And now I'm driving back into Colorado, and I'm down. It's kind of starting to snow as I'm coming through Raton Pass. And just when I get to Raton, my other window decides it's wanting to leave. So now I'm just completely flipping livid. And I'm on the phone again with Thor. So, I'm trying to just be as polite as I can. But I'll be telling you, it's just one little, they try, I would say, somewhat. But when I have to have, and the people that work at Thor, when I have the manager of the coach section, not the gentleman by the name of Steve Reed, who's a really fantastic person, but his boss telling him, look, I just had this doggone thing here for 3 months and you still haven't gotten it fixed. So, I'm not really too pleased with Thor.
How do you look at...
I got to kind of go with the way it is because, you raise too much hell with somebody. And, I'm still, and I haven't really even come around with this. I've got my 2 big cushions in my living room area. One's a dinette, one's a couch, and they're sagging down. And when I was in Wakarusa last summer, I was emailing the gentleman, showing him pictures of this thing sagging, and that's kind of where that laid out. So
maybe
I'm
maybe
not real
you didn't
happy
pay
with
enough
that
money for that
of it either.
Maybe you didn't pay enough money for your RV, Mark. You ever think of that?
I donated to Camping World, I can tell you that.
So what kind of advice, I wonder, what advice would you give to other people who are thinking about spending a pile of, I talked about a mountain of money. What you spent was a mountain of money on your Class A. What kind of advice would you give to somebody that's getting ready to do something similar to what you did?
Well, we shopped for a floor plan. And the floor plan I have in the thing is absolutely gorgeous. But, I spent 2 years looking for it. And I think some of it just the coach when it went from Thor, went to Tucson, then up to Denver here. So, I'm not sure what Camping World did with it down there and then brought it up. But the whole thing is, when you buy a vehicle, before you take it away, they wanted me to do a 3-hour walkthrough on the damn thing when I picked it up. Well, I told them no way. I was taking 6. So, you still got to take your time, look at it all, research. One of the things that, fortunate for me, maybe unfortunate in one aspect, I don't see too much issues with the Tuscany. So, I'm sure that there's a couple of their other products that one time you and I spoke that, there's a lot to be desired with it.
In our closing few minutes, who do you blame for the condition of your RV? I mean, you spent a gob of money on it? Do you blame the engineers? Do you blame the people on the assembly line, the dealer, or everybody from one end to the other? Or, well, I mean,
I'd have to just say, just for and I'm not a real professional RV person, but for me, just, quality control as they, however they roll them off the assembly. You see pictures of people with screws and crap in their coaches. I have to say, yeah, I found it in mine too. It just seems like they push them, they get out, and then somebody stands there and clips, checks shit off. Checks stuff off, and when it gets to like Camping World, Lazy Days, and then you're buying the vehicle, then they got to do all the cleanup work, and it's just one big snowball after another. So, before you take delivery, get up on the roof. You hear so many people talking about their air conditioners backing up. Well, there's a hose up there. Make sure all that plumbing's done right, because in the long run, you're going to get a leak inside the coach. You're going to be frustrated. It ain't going to stop. You're going to have to either fix it or let it go. Then it just, doesn't help the interior of the vehicle.
Mark,
stay with it.
If the big boys in the RV industry, if the Forest Rivers or Winnebagos or Thors or the Rev Group were listening, what would you advise them? Honestly, what would you advise them to where they can improve their business and their customer service? Do you say slow it down on the assembly line, take more time? What would you advise them?
Well, the guys that run those corporations,
yeah,
maybe they had to spend a couple of weeks on the floor with their employees and seeing what their quality control actually entails versus sitting in some meeting and having some supervisor butter you up and telling you everything's hokey dokey. I don't think these guys at the top have any idea what the consumer goes through once that doggone thing is delivered to them. I think if they would just take the time, meet with their employees, line people that actually build them, maybe they could get some progress in quality control. Because right now, I just think they throw them together quick as they can get them out, and that's the way it is. And I don't think the guys running the shows have any idea what it actually entails to put one of those things together.
And I understand most of the people that the big shots at the RV manufacturers, they're not even RVers. They've never driven one, backed one up, connected one, emptied a black tank, taken a shower, pooped in one, slept in one. They've never done anything in one except sold them. They just don't know.
Well, and that's the whole thing. And it's this epidemic with, like you get Camping World with their salespeople. They push 100 units through the golden office, and then they got to service all 100 of them to get them ready for the customers, let alone that it's right on the crossroads of all the highways that crisscross the states, and everybody else has got their RV problems. So it's a non-ending thing, and I think if the manufacturers just take the time and maybe slow it down or just have their big folks come downstairs or however you want to phrase it and check it out, maybe they'd see what was going on.
Well, I got to tell you, we're going to have to wrap it up, but I very much appreciate hearing your story. Gosh, it's sad. I mean, it sounds like people have problems on one end and the expensive end as well, but thank you for sharing your story, okay? And best of luck. Hopefully we'll talk again.
Yeah, the most important thing, people have to find a reputable mechanic to do that work. And thank you for your time.
You betcha. Thank you, Mark. You take care. Can you imagine folks spending several $100,000 having all those problems, having your window blow out? Woo! No wonder the Angry RVer is gaining in popularity. What do you think? Give us a call, 855-296-7469. Be right back.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
All right, we are cooking today, aren't we? Here on the Hour of the Angry RVer, we just heard from Mark out in Colorado who spent several $100,000. I should not laugh. Several $100,000 on when he bought a new Thor Tuscany 44-foot blah, blah, blah from Camping World. And he told us some of the issues he was having with him. So Mark is certainly not alone. If you've got a story to share, call the Angry RVer hotline. Call us, 855-296-7469. All right, before we get any more calls, who has read the story this week from Barron's about what they call the recent wreck in the RV industry? Did anybody read it? if you own stock in any of the major RV manufacturers or in Camping World, you are probably down around 50% in your portfolio since January. That's 50% from where these stock prices were just 9 months ago. And the trajectory is not looking good. Why? Well, for one thing, oversupply. Manufacturers, they anticipated this insane growth in orders from dealers that it would continue. It would continue this year, but they overbuilt. They way overbuilt. You know, there's such an abundance of brand new RVs, and many of them are going to be celebrating a birthday soon, seriously, sitting on the manufacturer lots, mostly in Indiana, and that glut of inventory has to be moved. So how are they going to do it? How are they going to move all those soon-to-be one-year-old but never titled RVs? They got to get their dealers to order them, right? So why would an RV dealer buy an RV that's been sitting on a lot in Indiana for months, even maybe a year, when they could order a brand new one that just came off the line? Well, because more than likely the manufacturers will bundle the older ones with the purchase of the new ones. Essentially, they're going to force their dealers to take some of these if you want some of these new ones. An analogy I kind of like to use is if you were in the car business, if you were a car, truck dealer, Ford dealer, what's the hottest selling Ford product? It's probably an F-150. If you're a Ford dealer, you can probably sell as many of them as you can get, right? What's the worst selling new Ford car or truck? Whatever it is, you can bet that Ford will try and force feed, a nicer way, incentivize their dealers into taking some of their poor sellers if they want those great selling F-150s. And with so many never titled, nearly one-year-old RVs sitting on lots in Indiana, that's going to be some very creative dealing going on with RV dealers for sure. You know what? Did you know that Elkhart, Indiana gets an average of 39 inches of rain per year? 39 inches. That's a lot. Every single one of those RVs that's been sitting out there has been dealing with 39 inches of rain, more than 2 feet of snow, just sitting there day after day. I wonder how many of those RVs are still watertight after sitting there for a year. I can't help it. That's the way my mind thinks. So getting back to the story in Barron's, stock prices for RV manufacturers are on the downward slide, in part due to overproduction. And overproduction, I think, has led to many of the poor quality issues. And voila, lots of angry RVers. Y'all getting the picture? No, many in the RV industry say that Alan Warren hates the manufacturers. That is not true. It is not true. But RV manufacturers and stockholders have to answer to. That's who they have to answer to. And all they care about is the bottom line profit. They want the stock price up as high as they can get it. And when it drops by 50% in 9 months, heads are probably going to start to roll. So if you own stock in RV manufacturers or in Camping World, it looks like you may be in for a very rough ride over the next 6 months at least, and I'm predicting a lot longer than that. Not trying to be some stock market expert at all. I'm not trying to bash the RV industry. I'm simply giving my perspective on what's going on and giving the sources that I use. If you've not yet read the story about the wreck in the RV industry, it is worth looking into. Again, it is in Barron's. Want to jump in and visit? Are you an angry RVer? Call us at 855-296-7469. We got Chris from Ohio. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Well, thank you, Alan. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Well, you betcha. So tell us your story. What you got? We only have literally, how many minutes? We got like a minute and a half on this segment and then all of next segment. So get us started on this thing, Chris.
Well, real quick, in a nutshell, my wife and I have been tent campers all of our lives, and we're just starting to get a little bit on the edge of age, and really just wanted to get out of the tents and into something a little bit more comfortable. Hard to get up off the ground and all that good stuff, so got tired of air mattresses, so we wanted to purchase an RV. Thought we researched well, but apparently we didn't. We fell in love with what we saw in the RV brochures. We bought a $25,000 RV. It's a travel trailer.
Hey, Chris, listen, I apologize for jumping in. This was a short segment. I want to give the entire next segment to you. Can you please hang on?
Sure thing.
All right, good. We got Chris from Ohio on the line. He's another Angry RVer. Folks, if you've got a story to tell, a story to share, call us anytime, 24/7. Our voicemail line is 855-296-7469. Be right back with Chris.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
All right, Alan Warren back with you on the country's #1 radio and internet show about the RV lifestyle. We're in the hour of the Angry RVer. Chris from Ohio is on our guest line. So, Chris, you spent $25,000 on a bumper pull travel trailer. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, when we went in for the purchase, we went to the RV show and talked to Camping World, and they were going to sell us one at the RV show. We signed the papers, and they called me a couple days later, and the financing lady told me that they couldn't give it to me for the payment that they talked about, that they had to bump the interest rate up and bump the payment up because of something to do with the credit and all that good stuff. But anyways, we decided to tell them to take a hike because it just didn't feel right. So we found a dealer in Michigan because of the floor plan and the type of RV. It's a cruiser RV, which is made by Thor. And so we decided to have it transported to my house because it was in February.
Hey, Chris, are you? It sounds a little muffled on your cell phone. Are you? Maybe you can hold it a little bit differently. But okay. So
can you hear me better now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we only have about 6 more minutes on this thing. So you bought your RV. You're from Ohio, but you bought it up in Michigan. How long did the honeymoon last before you started seeing things go wrong, and what went wrong?
Well, when they backed it into my driveway, when they delivered it, I opened the door, which they forgot the keys, by the way. They forgot to give me the keys with it. So I climbed into it very first time, and there are valances laying on the floor. 3 out of the 6 fell off the wall. There's sawdust on the floor here and there throughout the camper. A couple of the pieces of wood trim fell off. A seal had fallen down and was smashed in one of the slides. And I just looked at it, and I couldn't believe it was the same camper that I had just looked at just a month prior at the actual dealer up in Michigan.
And this was just being towed from the dealer in Michigan to your place in Ohio. All the stuff had already fallen off. What was going through your mind at that time? And remember, this is a G-rated show, so you can't say all the words you probably want to.
Well, I was ticked, to say the least, and I went in and told my wife about it, and she just rolled her eyes, and she couldn't believe what I was telling her. She thought I was joking, but obviously I wasn't. But I thought they had shipped me a used RV or something like that. I mean, sawdust. I mean, there's sawdust laying on the floor. It took 3 months of vacuuming to finally get all the sawdust up, and I think it was just creeping out from underneath the woodwork. Because when I did a winterization, I pulled some panels off, and there's just sawdust laying underneath on the floor underneath the sink in the bathroom and the sink in the kitchen both.
I'm looking at the screen. The screen says something about delamination, a delamination issue. What's the deal with that?
Yeah. Well, that cropped up about 18 months into it. All of a sudden, just a bubble appeared out of nowhere on the side of the camper. And I went up on the roof to look around and see if there was water gotten in somewhere. And I did find some dried up caulk, but it wasn't in that location. So I proceeded to just re-caulk everything that I saw that didn't look right, just to be on the safe side. But now I have a big, well, it's not huge, but to me it looks huge when I look at it because it's right on the side of the camper that the doors are on. It's underneath the awning. So every time I look at it, it's a constant reminder that of the quality that is coming out of the doors of these manufacturers.
And what did Thor say when you I would imagine you contacted them about the delamination. What did they say?
Well, they said, first off, they said that if it's water damage, then it's a result of improper maintenance of the roof, and the roof only has a 90-day warranty. So of course, it's there's no warranty that covers it, and that's of course the out of warranty story. There's no warranty on delamination at all whatsoever. Because 90 days after I got this thing, Any type of warranty on the roof or any of the sealants on the roof is gone.
So in the closing couple of minutes, Chris, it sounds like you've got. Did you go for payments? Did you you're making payments on it?
Yes, I did.
If you've got water damage and already you have a 18-month-old or a 2-year-old travel trailer, you're probably going to have to hold on to that thing for a long time, because with the delamination, it's gone down. It's going to go down in value anyway. But with those kind of issues, you better be ready to hold on to that thing, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm basically, for the lack of better words, I'm stuck with it. We can't trade it in for anything, because I'd be lucky if I got $10,000 for it. And I owe way more than that on it, and they would have to take all that and dump it into another RV, and that payment would be astronomical, and I wouldn't be able to afford it.
If you had to do it over again and you're looking at the same travel trailer, what would you have done differently, knowing what you know now? I mean, I
would have done way more research. I would have dug deeper. I would have looked at some forums for manufacturer, like Forest River has their own Facebook group. There's a ton of them out there that have their own Facebook groups, and you could just literally go on there and just page through it and look at what the different comments that people make. There's tons of forums out there, and of course I didn't find any of this until after I made my purchase.
Of course,
which I wish I would have done prior to the purchase.
Has this soured your feelings on RVing, or do you still like to do it?
We still like to do it. We take the camper out 13 to 14 times a year, which I'm talking about a weekend, so that's equates to about 30 nights a year, and we still enjoy it. We still have a lot of fun. I just don't look at the bubble anymore, and I make sure everything's all sealed up real nice, and I just, as things fall apart on it, I just fix it. I mean, luckily all the air conditioning and the hot water tank and all that stuff, none of that's took a dump on me, but everything else works okay. It's just, a lot of form fit and polish is just not there. When you spend $25,000 on it, you expect a little bit more than that. And like I said, I fell in love with what I saw in the brochures. And what I saw in the brochures and what I got were two different things. Yeah,
those Go RVing campaign ads are really beautiful. Those RV shows, the reality is a little bit different sometimes, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. But,
all right, listen, we got to call it there. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show up there in Ohio. We appreciate it. I wish you the very best of luck, and hopefully you'll call in again, okay?
Thank you, Alan. Have yourself a great weekend.
All right, you take care. That was Chris from Ohio. David, we're not going to have time to get to you or Sharon. We got one more segment to go. Please, folks, give us a shout on our voicemail. Let us know how we're doing. 855-296-7469. Be right back.
The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
All right, so the other day somebody asked me, how much does it cost on a nightly basis? You ever figured it out? What's it cost on a nightly basis to RV? Have you ever figured that out? Well, it kind of reminded me when I would go fishing, and sometimes I'd bring home nothing, and sometimes a little bag of fillets, just enough to feed the family, and Lisa would ask, how much you think that fish cost per pound? She figured that it was probably the most expensive meal that our family would probably ever eat, and it would be a lot less expensive to just buy the fish at the grocery store. If you figured what it costs per night to RV with your family, you may get the same kind of reaction from somebody who does not RV, and they'd say, you could stay in a nice hotel for that kind of money. You know what? You probably could. But just like in the fish fillet example, RVing is not about cost. It is not. I mean, cost is a factor, but it's not the biggest factor. Why? Well, because the real reason we fish or that we camp and RV is not to save money. It is for the experience. The experience of spending quality time with your kids and your wife and your grandkids, sitting by a campfire and telling stories and sipping a cup of coffee, smelling the campfire, watching the moon on a starlit night, hearing the raindrops hitting the top of your RV. How cool is that when you're all comfy inside? What's that worth? Seriously, what's it worth? That's why people RV. That's why people loved RV. It's not for how cheap they can do it. It's about something a whole lot more important than that. My hope, and I say this a lot, with the Angry RVers to connect with, to inspire, maybe motivate, encourage the RV manufacturers that hopefully one of the senior VPs of the Big Four will get it, and they'll understand why we RV. I sincerely believe it is important that the big boys understand that we RV because of our experiences and to connect with the people that we love with the least amount of quality issues possible. You know, nowadays there are simply too many quality issues, and it is a serious problem. At least I think it is. When one of the Big Four understands the importance of balancing the profits with happy, loyal customers, they're going to say great things about their brand. They'll be planting the seeds for future generations of customers. And that manufacturer will own the lion's share of their market, and their competition will wonder what the heck happened. Unfortunately, if they continue to chase more and more profits at the expense of quality, they'll continue to see a decline in sales, not just today, not just for this year, but for a very, very long time in the future. And that's the way I see it. We're about out of time. I'm Alan Warren. Thank you for being with us. You can follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. In the search bar, type in The RV Show USA and give us a like. Please tell your friends about us and invite them to join us next show. We really are the only program of its kind in the RV world, a show that tells the good and the not so good about this wonderful thing we love so much. We're growing week after week thanks to you, our listeners, and we are most grateful. We really are. Until next time, I'm Alan Warren, and the way we spell love is Time. That's right. We spend that time with those we care about, enjoying the RV lifestyle. So long, everybody.
The RV Show USA. Start living.